or maybe a plant killer. Either way, this video is for you. As you can see, I am the plant parent that's here to give you all the tips that it takes to take care of all of these beautiful living things and give you a tour while we're here. You guys may have seen my home tour already, but I got a couple questions about all the green that's throughout every space in my house. So this video is all about plants. So I'm a huge plant lover, and my love of plants came from the home that I grew up in. So my mother was an avid plant parent as well. I didn't really pay attention to how plants affected our home, and it wasn't until I had my own first home and brought in plants where I realized how truly effective they are in several ways. And once I realized that effectiveness, the obsession grew to the point where I've had to build this custom shelf in my house to house just a few of the plants that I now own. I had over 120 plants at one point. Then of course life gets busy, some die, but I'll show you here in a bit how you can get that number back up to without going to buy any more plants. So I'm never without. But the babies that I love and appreciate the most, they are on full display. So this plant shelf is solving two problems for me. So one, giving me more surface area to have somewhere to put my plants, and two, dividing this room into two spaces. I wanted my living room to feel a little bit more secluded and to separate it from the full-on workspace and the major walking path that cuts through this space. So the plant shelf does just that. I had this design on my heart for a very long time. Actually, if you go back to, I think it's the first episode of Design Star, there is a bookshelf that I designed to separate two spaces. That design is what bled into and kind of inspired this plant shelf. But I designed this shelf to mimic the width of the beams that we had. So I knew I wanted to be able to have something that's structurally attached to the beam, since the beams automatically divide the space up into thirds. This one just so happened to split the space in half, which worked out perfectly. But I wanted to be as wide as a sofa. I wanted as much surface area as possible. And I wanted the bottom shelf to be almost desk height. So this is console. You can sit here and write if you need to. But I now have multiple levels to put beautiful plants and all of the rest of my things, like awards, because you know, I get a few of those every now and then. But the plants floating in the middle of the space, they now have access to all of the light possible. So all of my plants that are in need of indirect light, this is likely where they land. Some plants can't stand to be right up against windows. The sun can actually burn their leaves. So pulling them away from windows and putting them in a space that's well lit is optimal plant care. Now, some of the babies that are up here, I'll start with the one that gets the most attention, and that's my rickrack cactus. It's actually kind of funny. This plant is in another planter inside this bowl. I've been meaning to repot it for a very long time. The planter that it's in is probably this big when it should be in the planter that's this big. But this rickrack cactus is one of those. It's a succulent, so it doesn't need a ton of water. It stores its water in its leaves, but this very rickrack style gives this space a ton of texture, and I just love how wild it grows. And what's funny, if you look really close, all of these little nodes, these are actually roots. So I can cut this leaf off and lay it in dirt, and it will root and turn into another plant. It needs some attention. I need to cut back some of the crunchiness. So yeah, I'll show you how I care for the ones that need a bit of attention. So that's a rickrack cactus. The other plants that you see are repeated, and that is one of my biggest design tips or just plant parenting tips. A lot of people are very intimidated by plants. You don't know what plant to buy. You want this look of a jungle, but you don't want to be able to care for 10 different types of plants. My tip is try one first and perfect the care of that one plant, and then multiply that plant throughout your space. You will see pothos plants all over my house. This is one of my absolute favorite plants. This is the plant that I grew up with my mother. She had these all throughout our kitchen, the vines. She would let them get really long, and they would drape across the cabinets and the baker's racks and everything. And I love it so much that I have it tattooed on my arm. And it is sistered with my other favorite plant, the monstera, which is also throughout my home. It's bookended over here. And what's beautiful about this one, this is the first monstera I ever bought about 10 years ago. This is the mother to all of the other monstera plants in my house. I have propagated this plant, I don't even know how many times now. We go around the room and count, but I love that the monstera and the pothos both are two of the easiest plants to propagate, which is why I don't buy more plants. If I want more plants, I just make more plants. And it's as simple as cutting off their vines in a very specific area and then taking those leaves and putting them in water. And the pothos is the same way. You take a vine, cut it off, cut all of its individual leaves, put them in water, and you have an entirely new plant. This one has been sitting in water for about a month and a half or so, and you can see the roots at the bottom. You can even see new leaves growing underwater. And this one is good to go, ready to be planted in a planter, starting an entirely new plant. And it will continue to vine, just like all of its other siblings, and create more plant babies for me. So yeah, pothos everywhere. A couple other plants up here are snake plants. Snake plants here, there are a few on the top shelf. These get really tall, so they need some room. These particular plants are also very easy to care for. They literally want you to leave them alone. Succulents want to be left alone. I've heard people say they water their plants very often. Plants are not pets, ladies and gentlemen. They do not need water every day. I had a friend drown all of her plants because she thought they were thirsty every day. And I'm like, no, you gotta treat the babies as if they would be outside. It doesn't rain every day. And when it does rain, they're not being drowned by the rain. So every 2 weeks is really all they really need. And you can probably go even longer. Some of your plants will tell you when they're thirsty. You'll see them drooping, like my poor little monstera over there. It's very thirsty. Your plants will tell you when they need water, but do not drown them. A little bit of water to saturate their roots to get them through the next 2 weeks is all they need. We have a corn husk plant that I've propagated, and that's cutting it off the main plant and sticking it in another pot. You just create new plants. I have a couple other cacti. These need even less water. That's why you see them in the desert. Desert plants, do not water them every 2 weeks. They may go a month without getting water. This is the hub of all of the main types of plants, but you'll see me testing out propagations. This is my rubber tree plant. This is a snake plant, and you can see these all rooting. And this is a pothos. These are all kind of experiments. This one will likely go into dirt, but I don't need a micro rubber tree plant because the big one is right here. She doesn't need any assistance. This is now growing beyond the shelf. I've attached her to the shelf, but I think sometime soon I'm gonna chop her and have this be another plant. I'm gonna propagate the tall end of this one so she can start to bush. Speaking of my rubber tree, I want to show you something for these taller plants. So I've done this with my rubber tree plant, my bird of paradise, my monsteras. They get very leggy and very tall, and they need some support. So what I do is go in and add stakes. So these are plastic covered metal rods that I just shove down into the base and then connect the plants with plant ties. So these are twisty ties that are okay to use because this is a very barky stem. But on my monsteras, and again, this one is very thirsty. I'm taking this one outside to water. Ones that have very sensitive stems, you want to use like a Velcro, something very soft to attach them to the stakes. And these are bamboo stakes. So you can use pretty much any type of stick that is supportive enough for your plant. Monsteras are like pothos, they like to climb, so they need something to attach to. So they need something a little bit more natural. So a lot of people have questions about where to actually put their plants. And I have a little bit of a theory that I haven't quite spelled out, but I just know it. So let's shop this together, okay? So in my mind, you want your taller, more substantial plants to take up your corners. So my monstera, this is the baby of the main plant, but she is growing and thriving. She is staked on a cocoa stake, but she's very full, very big, and she's only gonna get taller. I can add more height to that stake. But she fills up this corner behind my chair. She's out of the way. She still has access to light here by the window. Places for coffee tables and shelves, you want to consider things that grow rounded and bushy, especially like a pothos. You can train your pothos to just be fuller on the top. They don't have to grow vines. You can continue to snip these off. But something low and bushy like a pothos is great for your coffee table. I actually have a propagated one here just to add some life to everything else that's on the coffee table. For shelves and elevated spaces, the pothos is also great because of their vines. They give texture and drama just because of the way they grow. And I can take these and leave them hanging. I can drape them across the light fixture and the art. I can drape them across the shelf to give the rest of the shelf more life. These are the types of plants that you want that if you're trying to fill a space that's higher, they're gonna take up space, not only on the shelf that they're on, but vertically with their vines. And they give you a ton of flexibility as well. This one I'll likely cut off and make a new plant baby and start the process all over. But this is how you want to think about styling your plants. Do you have small empty corners? Do you have surfaces that need something that mounds? Is the type of plant that you're placing there, does it vine and will it need to be relocated after you've had it on a coffee table or low surface for a while? This is our hall bath, and it is imperative to add some plants to your bathrooms. And some great ones to think about are snake plants. This one, I need to trim this one off, but snake plants don't need a ton of light. They love the moisture in the air. Since they don't require a ton of watering, they're great for bathrooms. Another great plant is the pothos and ZZ plant, and I'll show you those. They neither require a ton of light, they don't require a ton of attention, but the humidity in the bathroom is always gonna be great. Two of the plants I have in here are neither of those, but as you can see, I'm standing under a grand skylight here in my bathroom. So this bathroom gets a ton of light, so I have a little bit more wiggle room on who can actually survive in here. So this is a Dracaena. This is a propagation from another plant that was dying. I cut the top of it off. This is what was left over. and it has survived in this little container ever since. And on the counter over here is a philodendron, and this one I just want to show you is also thriving. So it vines, and I just let it do what it does. But this is actually two small little tiny pots inside a bigger pot. So I can pull this out. So this is one big pot, but there are two tiny plants in there. Combining small plants to make one larger plant is another way to create the volume you need in whatever space that you're trying to decorate. But yeah, these plants, they get watered on the same schedule as everyone else, about every 2 weeks. Sometimes they get forgotten, and they're perfectly fine because they love it here in the bathroom. And the light that comes in here, they truly thrive. Also, while I'm here, the more light that some plants get, the more water that they need. You got to put your biology brain on, okay? Go back to 3rd grade science, okay? Photosynthesis. Plants create energy from the sun. Once they create that energy, they need a source to fuel the energy. That's the water for the roots. The water is feeding the plant to have the energy that the sun is providing it to go through photosynthesis, and that's for growth and emitting oxygen, which is one of the best reasons to have plants in your home. They purify your air, they take in carbon dioxide, and they output oxygen. So put your science brain on and think about that anytime you're thinking about taking care of your plants, watering them, placement. Sun is important, light is important, not the light from your light bulbs, okay? That's not UV light. They don't grow from incandescent faux lighting. You can incorporate grow lights, which off-put UV lighting, but no matter what, if you want your plants to thrive, they need a very particular amount of light. Lots of plants thrive without a lot of light, but they just grow slower. And in that case, they need less water. So more energy, more growth, more water, more often. Less energy, less light, less growth, less water, less often. Other areas you want to consider for plants are your kitchen and dining rooms, the places where you spend a lot of time. So I love to have plants, if I don't have a surface to put them on, I put them in a hanging mechanism. This is a macrame plant hanger, and it's just another pothos plant. And I just let the vines grow as long as they want, so I'm able to fill this corner with some texture. Otherwise, I mean, yes, this is beautiful art, but you're looking at a ton of hard surfaces over here. Your plants give you texture, something soft, and also something beautiful to look at. If you can't put them on a surface, a pedestal could have worked here, but it's in the way when you're pulling out chairs. Hang them from the ceiling. Now we are fully in my kitchen, and a lot of people leave the kitchen out when it comes to art, plants, decor, period. Give your kitchen some love, people. So I spend a lot of time in my kitchen, not cooking, unfortunately, but I love coffee and I love my coffee routine. But I want to be surrounded by beautiful things no matter where I am. And with plants being one of my absolute favorite elements of life, I had to be surrounded by them. So this particular wall oven situation has always bothered me. It's the original from the house. So I never used the cabinets up there, so I knew it would be a great place to perch some plants. And with my kitchen being black and white, I don't incorporate a ton of color otherwise. So the green really just gives this space some punch of happy. So I have a pothos plant here. This is a corn husk plant that I've propagated. It could go into a pot, but it's actually just in water up here. I have let these vines grow on this pothos, but I've kind of tied them up back here. So even if you don't want to cut your plants, let me pull the dead ones off, you can loop them around to make them the length you want. And this is just a little twisty tie to hold them together. This particular vine had lost a lot of leaves in the center. It's fuller on the ends. So instead of chopping it off, I just wrap them up, you know, like you do your charging cables. But just another tip for you. And when I see some of my plants kind of needing some attention, I mean, this is one of the things I just go through on a day-to-day basis. If I see yellowing leaves, I'll just pluck them off. A lot of people will say, you know, let them die completely. No, dying leaves to me are an energy drain on the plant. So if you see it yellowing, it's never going to turn green again. So go ahead and pull them off. Your plant is going to try to continue to send energy to that leaf, but that leaf is going to die. So let that energy go to something that's alive, like the growth on the ends of your vines. So pulling off dead leaves is part of plant care, and also trimming off dead ends. So these particular leaves actually have been cut by scissors. You can kind of see the cut ends, but when your leaves start to change colors or brown, cutting off the deadness is another way to just keep them aesthetically pleasing, keeping them pretty. But you want to cut your plants on angles. Never blunt cut a plant. You never see straight lines or 90 degrees in nature. Don't add 90 degrees and blunt lines to your plants. They'll look it's gonna be ugly. Just don't do that. So cut at an angle, and that's for any and every type of plant that has these longer substantial leaves. I do that with my spider plant, this particular plant. So this has some dead leaves on it that I'll trim back, but its ends tend to brown. And this is a sign of not having enough water or not having enough fertilizer. So the browning of your leaves is also telling you something to better care for your plants. I love a spider plant because it just grows, you know, a pothos or monstera grows vines. A spider plant will just give you whole new plant babies. Like this can be cut off and put right into the head of this plant if I want a fuller top. So I love this. This excites me. And in the spring, sometimes this creates little flowers too. Plants are so fascinating to me, but this is one of my favorites. And I'm gonna let these go probably another month or so before I trim these off. And it'll just grow more. Know what types of plants to buy so you don't have to buy any more. I'll show you one that I lost. This one has gone to glory. I am not claiming to be a perfect plant parent, okay? I lose them just like anybody else. This was a spider plant that thrived on the plant shelf, and one day I looked up and it just decided it didn't want to be here anymore. I have a feeling it was overwatered because the roots are a little mushy. So you tend to see them die close to the end of the roots before they die at the end of the leaf. So that's when you know you have a root issue. But this one is done. So she will go to the trash, and this beautiful planter will get a new plant, probably one that I have propagated already. But if I recognized her issues a little bit sooner, I would have taken her to my little plant hospital. Let me show you my plant hospital. So this little corner, a lot of people see this light, they think it's an art light, they think it's just a feature of the house, but this particular light is a Soltech grow light. I'll put the link for this in the description. But this particular company was one of the first companies to come out with a decorative grow light. So this pendant is giving me UV rays, just like the sun, For these plants that are in need of a little bit of assistance, they need a little bit of a boost. So I bring plants over here once they need some fertilizer, some more light, to give them some new life. So this one, it does well. One, I know for sure this needs to be repotted. It has leaves die faster than it's pushing out new leaves. So I know I need to repot this plant, get these stems deeper down into some soil that can nourish it, and that will slow down this degradation that's going on. You'll also notice these little sticky traps. So a lot of people ask about pests. What do you do about gnats? And I will tell you, I have gnat contraptions everywhere. So I put these sticky traps in plants that may have some issues. Several of my plants had an issue after I brought in my plants for the winter. I had a couple plants outside that I had to bring in when it got cold, and those plants are the culprits for gnat issues in a lot of cases. But also buying plants from big box stores, those plants are intermingling with all types of things, so gnats can be a thing. So you want to take care of gnat issues two different ways. One, the ones that are alive, that's where your sticky traps come in. This type, I have the plug-in type over here. I would pull it out and show you, but it's just really gross. Actually, no, I'm not gonna show you. But these Zevo traps, they work very well. And I will tell you, there are no-name brand versions of these that do the exact same thing and also work great. The blue light attracts them and they stick to the sticky part on the inside. But I have plug-in versions, I have the versions that go in the plants, and that takes care of the flying, the alive adult gnats. What you want to do for part 2 is taking care of the larvae or the eggs. So gnats lay eggs in your plants, and those eggs hatch and turn into flying gnats, and they lay hundreds of thousands of eggs. So what you want to do is mix equal parts hydrogen peroxide and water. So if you're going around watering several plants, you're filling up your pitcher with 4 cups of water, put in 4 cups of hydrogen peroxide. You want to dilute the peroxide by half, and that's what you use to water your plants. So my recommendation is to use the hydrogen peroxide every other watering, and in times of spring and summer, you're fertilizing on the waterings between killing the larvae. So fertilize, kill the eggs, fertilize, kill the eggs. But hydrogen peroxide is the best thing to kill larva eggs. Other pests can be spider mites, things like that. That's when you're just really needing to pay attention to what's happening on the underside of your leaves. Those mealy bugs are the white, like fungus looking bugs that can pop up on your plants. A lot of those have to be wiped off with a paper towel, a wet paper towel, and you'll need to treat the leaves with neem oil. It's a natural pesticide. It's an oil that you mix with water and you can spray it on your plants. I highly recommend taking your plants outside to do that because that oil can get on things and you don't want to be slipping and sliding throughout your house or staining fabric items with the oil. But it is a great pesticide for any other type of aphid or pest that sticks to and eats your plants. So there you have it, you guys. You don't have to fear plants and you don't have to be a plant murderer either. It just takes some time. I hope this video helps you gain a little bit more confidence because as you can see, plants make a true difference in our homes and how we feel about them, how we live in them, and how we feel physically in those spaces. So go out, get you a plant. Don't be scared. Go for the real ones. I mean, we didn't even get into faux plants, but this ain't a faux plant type of house. But anyway, have fun. That's the important part. Have fun. Be curious. It's a journey.